Hey, it's me, Julian Greystoke. I'm here again with another book review for a book called The Rest of Us Just Live Here. I have my notes on my phone again, unfortunately, but that's okay, we'll make do. I'm going to read again the Goodreads synopsis, because I feel like Goodreads just does such a good job of synopsisizing these things for me, so I'm just going to cheat and do that. What if you aren't the chosen one? The one who's supposed to fight the zombies, or the soul-eating ghouls, or whatever the heck this new thing is with the blue lights and the death? What if you're like Mikey, who just wants to graduate and go to prom, and maybe finally work up the courage to ask Henna out before someone goes and blows up the high school again? Because sometimes there are problems bigger than this week's end of the world, and sometimes you just have to find the extraordinary in your ordinary life, even if your best friend is worshipped by mountain lions. Hey guys, this is the world's fastest reminder that you can support me on Patreon and see all kinds of exclusive videos like these ones. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. So this book, pretty obviously, is about a bunch of kids who are not the special, who are not the chosen ones, but they live in a world where some people are. Essentially, they live in Sunnydale, and some people turn out to be the Slayer. They live in the world of YA books, essentially, where some people are just the chosen one, and the characters in this book aren't that. They are all the kids at Hogwarts who maybe got names, and then we never saw them again, thanks J.K. Rowling. I was drawn in by the premise, but I was concerned about the author, because Patrick Ness also wrote The Knife of Never Letting Go, I think is what it's called. And I hated that one. I hated it so much. Like, even thinking about it now, I get angry. So I was really, really nervous coming into this one, whether I would feel the same way. And luckily, I did not. Thank goodness. The premise of this story really drew me in because some of you may know that I don't like chosen ones. I'm kind of over the chosen one narrative if I was ever into it. You see, growing up, I never really identified with the chosen ones. You're supposed to, right? As a kid, you're supposed to imagine that maybe you could be Harry Potter, that maybe you could, you know, save the world, that maybe you are the special one all along and you just never knew.
You're a wizard, Harry.
But I knew. I knew from a young age that I was not the special one, and so reading all of these books with these characters who turn out to be the chosen one was really unrelatable for me, which is why I like everyman characters. And so finding a book that specifically is about people who live in a world where there are chosen ones, but who are not the chosen one, of course that's going to speak to me, because it is me. Now, in this book, the main characters know that there are chosen ones. Several things have happened to their town before. They're essentially living on a hellmouth. Various things have happened. Sometimes zombies attack, sometimes demons show up, sometimes gods get angry, and sometimes aliens attack. And eventually, the chosen ones come and deal with it while everybody else is just, all the normies are just trying to survive, you know? But I'm really not sure why the chosen ones are all called the indie kids. Like, that's what they refer to in this book. So, like, our main character will be going to eat lunch in the cafeteria, and you'll see a bunch of the chosen ones, and he'll be like, oh, it's the indie kids. Why are they indie kids? Can someone explain that to me? Why was that chosen? Also, they all kind of have the same names, which is funny, but, like, one of their names is, like, Finn. Like, there's 8 people named Finn. And I don't know why that either. Is Finn a really popular YA name and I just didn't know? And the girls' names, like the boys all have the same name, the girls all have the same name, but neither of the names are ones that are actually, like, popular names. Like, the girls should all be named Kat with a K, and the boys should all be named Damien. Or something, you know? Like, I don't know why Finn was chosen. Of course, that's the joke, that all of the indie kids have the same names because there are certain names that are way more popular for YA books. I'm not sure if this is the author being clever or just like an oversight, but the main characters themselves strike me as characters who would turn out to be the chosen one in a different setting. The main character is that sort of shy boy, that nerdy boy who always turns out to be the hero in YA and middle grade books that are for boys. He is that archetype, and he's even caught in a love triangle. He's one of the spokes of a love triangle, and there's a girl that he fancies who doesn't really like know that he fancies her, and like this whole thing, he seems like he would turn out to be the chosen one if this were a different book. And I don't know if that's intentional or if the author just wanted to use those sort of geeky shy boy stereotypes. Even though I enjoyed this book, a big downside is that it is really a slice of life story. You think that perhaps there's going to be a lot going on, a lot of dangerous situations that they have to live through, but there are surprisingly few. You do hear at the beginning of each chapter a little synopsis of what the indie kids are doing and what problems are going on, but the main characters don't actually have much interaction with those problems, and it's mostly just watching them literally go about their lives, which are boring. And yeah, that is a problem that I see other people have complained about this book too, is that just watching people go about their lives is boring. That's why books have plots. So I wish that they had been encountering more of the things that the indie kids were dealing with. They could have encountered these things without like saving the day. They could have encountered these things and just spent their time trying to get away from them. And they do, but it could be a lot more, which would have made this book more engaging. If you are someone who doesn't really like slice of life stories, who doesn't really like just sort of contemporary, sort of slow-moving romance stories, this book might really disappoint you, because the elements of it that are in like the synopsis don't happen all that often. And that's kind of too bad. I wish it had been a little bit more fast-moving, a little bit more interesting. And I read slice of life. I do enjoy sometimes those slow-moving, easy-going, like you don't have to get too stressed out books. And even I was bored by this, because there's no real, other than he likes this girl who is going away to college, and he kind of has to figure out how to tell her that he likes her, or she's going away for some reason, not to college maybe, but, and he's like, that's the plot, and that's really boring. There is OCD rep in this book, but I don't know how well it was done. If you have read this and you have OCD or know someone who has OCD, let me know how the rep is. Okay, so there's a bromance in this book, and I love it so much. You don't understand. Like, as soon as I figured out there was this bromance going on between the main character and one of his male friends, who's also gay, I just... wow, like this book shot up in stars, because you guys know me, one of my favorite tropes of all time is the bromance, and as soon as we get these two guys and their bromance is so beautiful and they're such good friends, and I love it so fucking much. However, it's too bad that I was really kind of disappointed in the romance. It's just so average. It's just everything we've ever gotten from a easygoing slice of life YA story, or even middle grade. There's nothing to it, and I really wish that the author had done more with it. I know that he's trying really hard to make these people so average to contrast them with the indie kids, but like even average people with average lives, their lives seem exciting to them, and yeah, I'm just not feeling it at all. The last big question I had is, what makes you an indie kid? Are indie kids born, or are they made? Like, do they come out like that meme or whatever that was around a while back that was like, the doctor's like, ma'am, I'm afraid your daughter has pink hair, and the mother's like, no, and the doctor's like, yes, she's an anime protagonist. Is that something that happens? Are they all just born with pink hair? Like, do the parents know to name them all Finn right away, or does it just sort of happen that the parents just instinctively give them the name Finn? Because there are people in this story, like the main character's best friend, whom he has the amazing bromance with, is 1/4 god, but he's not an indie kid. But like, so I'm like, what qualifies you as an indie kid? It's never explained. Is it bestowed on you? Are you activated like Slayers? Because it doesn't seem that way. Because the indie kids just still, like, even when there's not a crisis going on, even when there's no zombies attacking or anything, the indie kids just still are in a clique, and they are identifiable as indie kids. But other than the names, really, there's no way to tell who's an indie kid. And what makes them an indie kid? How would our main character know that he's not an indie kid? Like, it's confusing. I thought maybe that we were hinting that people with mental illnesses couldn't be indie kids, but I'm really not sure. Like, I'm just trying to understand what makes an indie kid. I feel like the world building in this is a part that's really lacking, because they live in this world where there are these people who turn out to be chosen, who turn out to be special. I wish there was more about this world, but because again the author is trying so hard to just give you the average lives of these average people, but they are still in an unusual world where aliens attack and zombies attack and all that stuff. So I think the world does need to be built a bit more. And in the end, I do wish that our main characters had had a little bit more interaction with the indie kids. Like, our main characters do not need to save the day. I completely understand that. And they do have some interaction with the indie kids and the issue that's going on and the day and helping them save the day. But I really wish that there had been more. Otherwise, you're sort of like, why are we following these characters at this time? Because there's not that much plot, there's not that much story. And I think that's the point, but at the same time it can make for a rather boring read at times. Now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed this. I enjoyed it for the premise, I enjoyed it for the hecking bromance, man. Yes, please. So there was things that I enjoyed and I appreciated about this book, but I feel like it was like missed the mark a little bit. Like, here was the target in the middle and it's just over here. But the good news is that Patrick Ness, I haven't given up on him now. Now that I know that I can like books of his, I might give some more an opportunity. I don't know what else he's written besides the Chaos Walking series, which I will not read because, as I said, I loathed the first one. I have an old review of it, and I think what I say in that review still stands. It's a pretty old review, and sometimes I don't agree anymore with my old reviews. But just even thinking about that book again, I get a visceral hate response within my soul. So I think most of my thoughts will probably still stand. And I know I've probably lost most of my audience because that's a really popular book series, but it was not for me. Anyway, did any of you guys read The Rest of Us Just Live Here? What did you think about it? I have a real question for you. Do you relate to chosen ones, or did you when you were younger? Did you hope and think that you could potentially become the chosen one? Or were you like me, where you knew you weren't special and you weren't going to save the day, and you're just trying to get through your life? Comment below and let me know. If you liked what you saw here, there are a ton of book reviews on this channel, so go check them out. I'm sure you can find something else that you like. I've been doing this for a while. If you wish what you saw was higher quality, you can support me on Patreon, where not only do your donations go towards getting me better equipment, but they also grant you access to exclusive content that is not seen anywhere on the regular channel, so definitely go check it out if you're interested. But here on the regular channel, I post new videos Mondays and Fridays, and all the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking. I will see you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye! Well, look at that. It's shout-out time again. We're here to shout out this month's patrons with Lennox, Amanda, Ashley, Celia, Jenny, Kim, Lisa, Lumore, Sabby Panda, and Sarah. And if you want to be great like these awesome people, then you can become my patron over on Patreon.